say even our viewers, I want to share a small example here. I have a teenage daughter. She's around 13 now. And one of the little things that I've taught her, and I try and do it myself in front of her also, and otherwise also try and incorporate in my daily life, is fairly simple. What you like, you don't do, and what you don't like, just do. It's simple. So what happens is the days when you are trying to have something and the dish prepared is not of your liking, you still quickly eat it like you are eating a normal dish. I believe sometimes it helps train the mind a lot more better for setbacks which inevitably happen.
Right.
So my question to you is, um, would a sense of delaying the gratification, even if it is artificial, even if it is enforced, even if it is for any reason that we choose initially, as long as the intent is our own, because I like what you said. As long as somebody else is saying it, we are always trying to rebel or we are not happy with it 100%. But if it is our own intent, uh, then do you think working on one's own mind to delay this gratification might be a good idea, physically possible idea for people?
Um, Definitely, it's physically possible. Um, Very likely physically possible because there's a lot of people who do that. Uh, Giving you the simplest example of people who are on a diet, who promise themselves a cheat day at the end of the week or once in a month. So it's very likely to do it. And definitely, what happens is you get more satisfaction and more happiness when you receive something after a wait. Do you get my point? So yes, I think it should be, it is a very good exercise for the brain, for the mind, in order to in order to it's like an exercise for your mind. You train your mind into doing that, and the result is fruitful. But there's also certain drawbacks which are not so much, but there are drawbacks to it. I wouldn't say there aren't, in the sense that for more severe, like if you take somebody who's got a very severe urge for something and you deny them that, or they deny themselves that, like I said, it's like a constant alarm going off, ticking off in your mind. And I'm afraid, or what I feel is that the consequence of that could be when the person finally receives what they want, there could be abuse of the opportunity. It would be that one point where you lose all self control and you just indulge. So I feel that it could happen. So again, it's not a solid predictor for every single person and for what they want to prevent themselves from doing.
Okay. This is good because you reminded me of a question that I forgot to ask you, and it had ran in my mind earlier. You used the word control in some context. I have a problem with the word control because any kind of suppression, which is what you just actually kind of contextualized this idea of. Um, so I want to blow this idea a little more wider. In my case, in my daughter's case, whatever we try and do, we allow ourselves to fail as well. So there are times when she would come and say that, look, you said you were not going to do this, but you ended up doing this. So I have tried to then use honesty and truth as a way to break. Uh, See, we tend to justify when we err most of the time. If we land up doing a mistake, we would rather justify. And I wouldn't say that always I am good. Some days I have to literally tell her, look, I am the dad, I decide. So that happens. But it's fairly rare. I have tried to be fair to as much as is possible, obviously, with all the flaws. But at times I have been telling her, okay, yes, I did err, and this is the kind of punishment, or this is the kind of reason why I did it. Also, I also use challenge as a good exercise to work out the solution. So, for
Right.
example, if she is erred or something, she's allowed to choose her punishment. So, for
Right.
example, to think about it and let it be fair. So we kind of most of the times I don't even have to negotiate because she tries to be fair and I have to actually stop it. It's okay because the point has been made. Punishment is not the reason for anything. It's just that you understood the point. So at times we have a lot of difficult conversations as well. Why I want to bring this up is how it connects to attention is when you own the topic, when you intend to really work on yourself. I think one other beautiful thing that you picked up in the conversation at some point was paying attention to your body. How much do I? How much do I realize? Am I going to the loo enough? Am I drinking water enough? Um, one good example is in the middle of my sleep. Sometimes you want to get up and visit the loo, and you just don't
Yes.
want to get up because you're so tired or it's been a long day. Or
Right.
something. Long back, I think from my college days, I was very clear that because you don't like it, you got to do it. Because unless you do it, then your body is suffering in a way.
Right.
At some other point, you are going to pay for it. Might as well just get up and finish it off. So this finishing it off in a manner where you are not the most important part of life. What has to be done is most important.
Right.
So this breakaway thing also helps where you are a little more um, not self-centric.
Right.
Is doing the right thing, what has to be done. So that automatically helps you be a little more aware, be a little more attentive to your own self. And I want you to speak a little about this. How does being attentive to one's own self help us be attentive in life? How does that correlate according to you?
Okay, that's an interesting question. See, all right. So I'll give you one example that I face at work. So my workplace from my home is quite a bit of a commute. Okay. So there are days when I have an easy commute. I get a seat in the bus. I don't have to, the weather is pleasant and I reach my workplace. And, I feel, like, okay, I have seen that, okay, it's not today. It's not sunny today. Or, see, I got a seat on the bus. So it's like, internal checkpoints going on in my head. So I am attentive, right? I'm paying attention to those things. So I reach my workplace and I'm in full spirit. Like I unleash myself there and, I have a great day at work. Or even if I'm not having, I'll give you the contrary example also. Even if I'm having a very difficult client, unexpected scenarios, like you said earlier, I'd still have the mindset to, work my way through it. Whereas on the days when I have to face a difficult commute, have forgotten something at home, or don't have my bottle of water with me, or couldn't get down to buy a bottle, or was running late, it would definitely impact my performance at work, because in my mind I know that I have not been able to have a smooth way to the work. So my attention is on all the hurdles that I faced to reach work. Do you get my point? So that impacts my performance, that impacts my attention span in the work itself, the end product. So what I'm trying to say here is that having attending to your body is very crucial in knowing uh, where you stand emotion wise. Because if you aren't able to regulate the emotions that's going on in your body, obviously for the emotional regulation you need to know what's going on in your body, which is your attention. That's what it does. If you aren't able to do that, you wouldn't be able to focus on the next thing forward. You wouldn't be able to move forward. So yes, that's how it relates according to me.
Okay, so I have a trick question now. Your answer led to a question which is a little deeper. So now, if you were to find a way of, like, I'll be a little more clear here. A lot of people these days are trying to uh, learn kinds of yoga and meditation to be more focused. Okay, but because some of it is following a fad, they do not uh, really gain the full benefits of what they should be getting, because everybody else is doing it. Let me also join the yoga class, or let me do pranayam, or whatever it is that they do. Uh, I want to create a hypothesis here. So, say for example, you're really having a bad day in your commute. Uh, Now you've reached your office, and the case that you're handling on that day is a particularly sensitive case, and you know that you have to perform your best, because that person who's at the receiving end of your service is going through a much worse time than your day at work so far, commute or whatever, or lack of
Right.
water bottle or whatever. So I am presuming that you, like a normal human being, you will keep your own dissatisfaction aside, and you will try and give it everything that you have, because there is also one part of you who knows that as a professional, as a human being, you want to give your best for this person or child or whosoever is you're facing. So that thing has really happened. What you claimed
Yes.
earlier affects you, but how does it not affect you at this point of time? What has changed? So do you think this sense of normalizing your difficulty, or if you want to use a better, if I were to use a better word, is equanimity, is trying to be calm about it. Okay, this is the reality, and I accept it. It has been a bad day so far. And then combining it with the compassion that you have as a fellow human being, or as a
Right.
therapist. Do you think these are qualities that should be nurtured at times which are not necessarily like these? My question
Yes.
is that, because on that moment it's okay, you can judge that this person needs my compassion more, or but sometimes you may
Right.
not know. I may be going through a far more harrowing time, and I am coming with my kid at that point of time to you. You may not be aware of what's going in our mind. Obviously, that's not your job either. But the part that, because we are talking attention, what to do with this attention is equally important. Are we bringing it up to a point where it helps us lead a better life, not just be attentive about movies and coffee and what kind of things we want and what we don't want? This is a uh, fairly top layer manifestation of attention. Do you think it can be used to develop better qualities of the mind, uh, work a little more on introspection, because a focused mind would be able to work better?
Right.
Would you want to talk a bit? Have you ever tried something like that? And how has it helped or not helped? Or do you know anybody?
Yeah. So I'll again go back to the same example, because what you said is absolutely correct. We need to nurture those values. We need to have compassion. We need sometimes, like I'm going back to your own terms, sometimes we need to not be self-centric. That's what you said. And pull yourself out of yourself and look around what's happening. Look at other people, feel their emotions as well, feel their difficulties as well. But yeah, that is true, and that's exactly what one should aim for, because even if I had to work, and despite the fact that I've had a bad day, despite the fact that I know that possibly I may not perform well at work, I should stop and I should address what I'm feeling and try to get a quick or a short-term solution for it so that I'm able to focus better at work.
Wonderful.
So yes, definitely,